Hi everyone! Welcome to Artsonia's After School Art Club. Today, we have a fun art project from Mrs. Woodward, an art teacher from Florida. Hope you enjoy the video, and don't forget to have your artwork uploaded to your Artsonia gallery.
Hi, my name is Mrs. Woodward, and I teach art in Pinellas Park, Florida. And we're here today to take a look at an art project that's going to require us to blast off with our imaginations and go out of this world to create some pretty spectacular art. We are going to create an astronaut self-portrait using mixed media. That just means different kinds of materials. So make sure you take a look at the list of materials required for this project and gather up everything you're going to need before you get started. So let's get ready to blast off into some art making fun. Here are the materials we will need for today's activity. A 9x12 piece of watercolor paper, a plastic cup, and a paintbrush, magenta, turquoise, and black watercolor paint, large salt rocks, oil pastels, scrapbook paper, a pencil, a ruler, a pair of scissors, some glue, a black Sharpie marker, and then a photograph of yourself. We're going to start by taking our paper and putting our plastic cups on top of our paper. These cups will be the planets, and we will paint around them. When done, the paper underneath of the cups should be left white. I am going to use some liquid watercolor paint to paint magenta, and then turquoise, and then black across the paper. If you don't have liquid watercolor paints, you can use regular paints. It's just going to take a little bit longer because you have to keep going back for more water for those paints. Once you are done, take a couple pieces of salt rock and sprinkle them across your paper. The salt will absorb the paint and leave behind a little spot that looks like a star far off in the distance. Make sure you don't miss any spots with the salt. Don't use too much. If you use too much, the effect kind of gets ruined. Now I am going to take the cups off of my paper, one by one very carefully, and rinse them in the sink. Once you have removed your cups, you're going to carry your picture someplace to set it to dry. Make sure all the salt stays on the paper. Now that it's dry and I've taken off the salt, I'm going to use a box of oil pastels. You can use any kind of oil pastel that you prefer. If you don't have oil pastels, crayons, markers, and colored pencils would also work. I like the oil pastels because they allow me to blend and mix the colors easier than the other types of materials we could use to color in the planets. I'm going to choose a couple different colors that maybe could go together, and I'm going to apply those colors in different kinds of patterns to the planets. Your planets do not have to look realistic. You could be creative with them and give them funny or interesting looking designs. Take your time. The best part about the oil pastels is that they blend and mix together if you overlap the colors. So take your time and blend those colors together. Make sure you don't miss any of those little tiny spots. Go back and check your work. Make sure you didn't miss any of those spots on your planets. Keep in mind that when we get ready to make the helmet and glue the picture into the art, we will be covering up part of the planets, and that is okay. Try to vary the planets. Make sure you try different color schemes to see which you prefer and what kind you like. I can now use my other colors to get a darker color and create rings around the planets. If you want to add satellites floating around the planet or other types of objects, that is fine as well. It is your art. You are more than welcome to be creative with it. I have had students make faces on planets, make them look like animals or different types of food. Once you have colored in all of your planets, you are ready to move on to the next step. I'm going to use a piece of scrapbook paper to create a helmet for my astronaut. I'm going to use that plastic cup to trace the circle. Place it in the middle, towards the top a little bit, right about there is good. Use your pencil, press against the edge, and trace around the plastic cup. Then I'm going to draw the shoulders coming off of the head. We are not going to draw the neck because the neck is inside of the suit. I am now going to use my cup to draw 2 curved lines that are parallel to each other. The second one's going to be a little bit shorter. This space I'm creating now is going to be the viewfinder or the open window of the helmet. Connect those lines together with the ruler, and now I am ready to cut out my helmet. Use your scissors carefully and neatly to cut around the edge. Fold and bend the paper and snip it to cut out that negative space for the inside viewfinder window of the helmet. Cut carefully with those scissors. Watch out for your fingers. Try to cut right on the line. Flip it over, and that looks pretty good. I am now going to use a Sharpie to add decorations to the astronaut's helmet. I'm going to start by outlining the entire shape, including the window in the middle. Take your time and work carefully with the Sharpie, and then be creative with it. Think of different ways you can decorate your astronaut's helmet. Maybe you will find different kinds of gadgets and buttons and levers that might need to be used when floating through outer space. I'm going to add kind of like a collar that looks like an oxygen hose. And I'm just going to add some of those gadgets and doodads to the decorations of my helmet. Now that I'm done decorating my helmet, I'm going to get my photograph of myself and I'm going to cut out my head so I can place it inside of the helmet. Use your scissors and carefully cut out your photographic profile so you can place it inside of your helmet. Make sure you cut right along your skin so that way you don't accidentally cut your nose off. If you do cut off a piece that you need, you can always glue it back together later. Cut carefully and neatly around the outline of your face. Once you are done, you're going to take your photograph and glue it onto the helmet, and then glue the helmet onto your piece of paper. Make sure you get enough glue on there so it sticks. I'm going to carefully line up the edge of the helmet with the edge of the paper. It is okay if your helmet overlaps one of your planets. And I'm going to go ahead, clean up my materials, press and make sure that the photograph has stuck. For today, we are all done. Make sure you share your art with your friends, family, and post your art on Artsonia. Thanks for watching.